What's good, everybody? It's me, Dyatic, and today I'm gonna be deconstructing for you guys my latest track, which is called Afterimage. Alright, so this is the project file. Let's see what's on this boy. I'm gonna be showing you basically a bit of everything, drop, intro, basic rhythms and all that. So yeah, first of all, we have the actual intro of the track. This so first thing we're gonna be showing you, I'm gonna be showing you guys is this. Those layers. Piano. More of that. Then we have the classic res, low res. And a little bit of some textures and like sounds. A lot of percussion on this one. More textures. Let's mute all this. A lot of percussion. And then we have the effects on the background. Basic effects, you know, risers, downlifters, creak noises. You know, all of that stuff to, again, make it more interesting. And after that, we have some vocal shelves. That's how they sound. Let's see what's the processing on this. Getting down on a shower. That's the actual dry vocal. I have some trash too for distortion, saturator, OTT of course, EQ just to remove some frequencies, pitch monster, dimension expander, Valhalla room, Valhalla delay, more EQ, and pretty balance to like just tone down the volume sometimes. And then after that, what we have here is just the pre-build-up section, which is the same as the intro, same as this. But I started to add some loops like this. All this. You know, start building the tension for the build-up, which is something I always recommend you to do. Like before your actual build-up, you gotta prepare people for what's coming next. So in this case, I just added this shakers, percussion, and all that just to make this section to sound more like that something is coming after this, you know? I added that, and then we have like an extra little ARP right here, which is so cool. So it's basically the same as the intro, but more shakers and one extra ARP and rising effects all over this section. Here comes the actual build-up, but before that, we have a drum fill, which is this. It's a layer of a few sounds, some stomps, and then actual drum fills. And then right here we have the actual build-up, which is this. I'm gonna show you guys what's on this. I have a lot of loops and percussion, so that's something I always like to do, you know, just add loops and hats and all that, because it helps to maintain the flow that the drop is gonna have. It's kind of a minimalistic build-up, if I'm honest, but this is what we have. Aside from that, we have some risers. I have as well a sub layer. I do this, but not all the time. It's just sometimes when I feel like all the build-up elements don't have enough like low end, I just add a sub layer or something that has that low end that the build-up requires. But you gotta be careful to not overpower your actual drop. And then I added this little note thing. So after that, I think everything else is just ambient noises, background percussion. And of course, right here, I'm teasing the actual drop on this section right here. And after that, we have more percussion, background noises, a crash, you know, classic Dyatic stuff. And after that, we have some vocals, which of course, we cannot forget about the vocals.
Come up, run up and get touched, head skull. Before I do it, from up, come up, run up and get touched. Everybody's from up.
And then we have the classic Afterimage vocals. Again, I repeated it right here. So that's it for the build-up. Actually, it's pretty simple, nothing out of the ordinary, just simple build-up with a little bit of vocals, and that's it. So let's move on to the drop. Okay, here's the actual drop, the part you all been waiting for. I know you guys want this, I know. So this is what the drums sound like. And the drums, actually, this is one of my snares from my sample pack that I recommend you that you should get it. It has a lot of drums, vocals, stuff that you're going to be using a lot in your productions, I hope. So yeah, you should get that link in the description for the pack. So yeah, that's it for the drums. And the kick, just the Dyatic kick that I just thought it was sounding a little bit too soft, so I added some Cymatics Diablo, Transient Shaper, Parametric EQ2, Camel Crusher, and that's it. Routed this to my drum bus, which has a Transient Shaper and a big clip on it. As you can see, there's a lot of clipping on this. Clipping is good. Don't be afraid of clipping. Be careful, but don't be afraid of it. And for the snare, we have again Cymatics Diablo, a little bit of clipping, EQ, boost that freaking thing on the snare, Transient Shaper, some more EQ, Saturator, and Camel Crusher. Yeah, that's about it for the drums. What's next? We have the actual basses. This one has a lot of layers. So the main bass is this one. This, it's called, I don't know why I called this thing like that, but this is the main bass. It's like a render I did on, I think I did this on Serum. Let me see if I can find the actual patch. All right, so I found the actual patch I used for the Afterimage sound, which is this one. I think you can hear that sound, right? The same as this. But this one, the one I'm playing right now, it has a different chain processing. So what happened here is that I like the sound. I started adding a bunch of mixer channels of post-processing, and then eventually I got rid of all of them and I just stick with this thing. Like I recorded on Edison and I just got this. But the main patch is this one. Classic wavetables from Serum. Some all passes, which I love. Hyper dimension. Nothing crazy, actually. It's just some modulation to get that sound. And then some noise. Some custom noises that I have here. What actually gives it the sound is the other processing that I had, but I got rid of it, so sadly I can't show you that. So there's a lot of layers right here. We have the first one, which is this. So let's see how this sounds without the processing. All right, let's take this off. This is what it sounds like, the normal. It's the same as this one, but different processing. So what I did is just turn it up 5 cents, and I started adding processing. Trash 2, OTT, EQ, some reverb, dimension expander, more EQ to get rid of some frequencies, and clipping at the end. That's it. You have the Afterimage sound, which sounds like a lead. And it's the same sound as this one, like I said. It's the same. This one's... It's all the same. It's all the same, different processing. So, and after that, we have this support layer. And then we have these little things right here that are like accentuating the flow. So if I remove this, not the same, you know? Just extra flow right there. And then we have the actual sub bass. This is how it sounds like. Pretty distorted. So this is on C minor, which took me a bit of time to get the sub sounding right on this key. So you can tell there is some EQ, saturator, of course, and that's it. That's what I have on the sub. Pretty crunchy, pretty nasty. I like my subs crunchy. And after that, we have the actual background stuff from the drop, which sounds like this. So that's the actual background stuff I have. Just loops, risers, downlifters, crashes. I put this wind chimes on my respace chain that has a lot of stuff, as you can see, and this is how they sound. But I use them as an accent again for the main sound, like this. And then we have the final part of this first section of the drop, which is the melodic mini break. And on top of that, we have these wind chimes that are making a few melodies right here. And I think this helps to like give it a more of chaotic feel, but still melodic. And then I have this extra loop on the background. This one has a different processing. It has disperser, OTT, and distortion. That's why it sounds like really aggressive. And I use this to like compensate the empty sections where the drums and the loops are not sounding. So that's what I have for this. And at the very end, we have the vocals. All right, so vocals, these ones are from my pack. Again, more promo to the pack. I like them. I use them.
Come on. 4-7. The cops ready. Yo. Put my hands. Come on.
And then at the very end, we have the transition to the breakdown, which sounds like this. As you can see, there is a lot of as you can hear, there is a lot of reverb, and these vocals are just like closing the section, like wrapping it up. This fill is just doing what it should, you know, transitioning, and that's it. Simple transition, simple drop, yet complex, but that's it. The breakdown is actually pretty simple. So I'll show you the layers. We have this. and then it repeats again. We have some more abstract ambience that I did with the main sound. I basically, how I made this, I run this through a few Portal instances on the mixer. I recorded this with Edison, and I think it did what it had to do, you know? I have a lot of percussion on the background as well. Like, as you can tell, I have the same percussion as on the intro. And on this part, it's where like I start building the tension again for the new drop. Instead of using a snare for this build-up, what I did is I used a hi-hat. Because this is such a minimalistic breakdown, I thought using a snare would sound a little bit too aggressive for it. So I said, frick it, I'm gonna use a hi-hat. And I think it worked. It did what it had to do. Vocals in this section are a bit different because I have an automation that it's automating the format of the vocals. So take a listen to this. As you can hear, the format is going down, so that's why it's sounding like more dark. And I think that helps to like increase that tension factor on this minimalistic breakdown. And then last but not least, we have the drop that is getting you're getting like teased of what's the second drop going to sound like, which is something I always do. So yep. And then after that we have the actual pre-drop, which is this one. Same as the first one, but it has this 1 octave lower. Alright, so this drop, second drop is, it's interesting. It's interesting. So these are the drums with the cymbals. As you can tell, they're pretty fat. And after that, we have some cowbells here. It gives it more rhythm to the whole drop, I guess, and I think it works. So right here we start getting some of the samples that I love, which are these respaces that I have on my sample library. I was like, I need to let people know that this drop is gonna be different. How do I do that? So I came up with this respace mini rhythm, I guess. I don't know how to call it. So that's like a introduction for the actual drop. And then after that, I have the drop by itself. I'm using the same Afterimage sound that I show you guys on the first drop, this one. But I used a different section of the sample, you know? But this is what it sounds like, the main bass. Nothing crazy, you know, just regular quarter notes, boring. So I was like, how can I spice this up? How can I make this a little bit more interesting? So I added the support layers for the quarter notes, like mid bass and sub bass, and I made like a mini rhythm with these ones. You know, I think that helped to make the quarter notes sound less quarter notes and more. There's more going on the background, you know. Way better. You can't compare this to this. On top of that, we have some glitch layers. This ones. After that, we have noise. And we have this little percussion stuff on the back. And after that, we have this little thing, melodic thing. It's so tonal that it actually makes, like, kind of sounds like a chord. And the rest is just filler basses, like this one. It's the Reese bass that I already had made, you know, on my Reese bass chain. I just put it on the Reese bass chain, which has distortion, phase distortion, disperser, EQ, camel crusher, saturator, and saturator. So it's a really fat chain for a fat sound. After this, we have the same sound again. And then we repeat the same part again, you know, with different just variations like on the sub note and all that. The same thing, but spicing it up by adding variations like on certain sections. I think that's the key to making a cool drop. Then we have the response of the drop, like and then after that we have the closure phrase, which is the melodic section, this. And then after that we have repetition of the same column response, but with mini variations and changes on the sounds. I copy pasted it and changed a few sounds to make it sound fresh on your ears, and I think it worked. Listen to what it sounds like in comparison to the previous one. You know, it's the same, but not like. And here at this part, I have some growls that I made that I put on my respace chain, so that's why they sound like growl res kind of basses. Some glitched layers on top. The background elements are the same as the first drop. I think the only thing that I changed is I added like a couple extra risers, and that's it. So after that, we have the last drop, which is a bit different, but it still has the same method behind repetition and then changing a few things. So and then we have like this quarter note section again. Same sound that I used before, but I chose a different part of the sound. Like it's a long phrase, so I chose one part that I liked. And more layering. Filler basses. More res basses. Then after that we have the closing phrases of the Afterimage lead. And then we repeat the same. And finally, last but of course not least, we have the vocals. Offbeat vocals that I used and some mini phrases.
I'm so mysterious. Gonna lock down on it.
Then we have the closing phrase, which is this one. Again, same crystallizer thing for the reverb washout on this. And that's it. After that, we have the outro, which is basically the same as the breakdown, but instead of adding more, I was just reducing elements. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this track.